good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are.
Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see you. I missed you so much. Hope you'll forgive me my break. So we're coming here to clarify the last bit that is to be clarified. Lama Glenn was talking about 9 blendings for the past 2 weeks. So we have a plan. We're going to review some portion of the Nulchudama Bhadra commentary that will illuminate the topic, but just to maybe in very simple terms present again 9 blendings in a very approachable way. So there are 3 blendings in 3 times of the life and day. So during the waking state, during nighttime, and in the time of death. And on these 3 occasions, then we have an opportunity to blend with Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, on which point we have an opportunity to reach enlightenment. So we can take these opportunities very seriously. So during the waking state...
Sorry, maybe to clarify, what is Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya? I'm a beginner, I have no clue what are those 3 kayas.
Well, the blending with this truth body, emanation body, and truth body, the blissful body or enjoyment body, and emanation body. So Dharmakaya in the essence of the space-like nature of everything there is. Sambhogakaya, the nature body, the nature of energy body, either embodied in our physical form or in the subtle version. And every Yidam, every Buddha exists also on the level of Sambhogakaya, which is formless, but there is still contains the potential of the emanation. And then it comes into emanation, the embodiment, the Rupakaya in the physical realm, in which Buddha or all of us have opportunity to interface with the physical beings, which there is the most of us in that realm. And that's why we can train in embodiment of these 3 bodies or blending with them in these 3 moments in our life or throughout the day, night, and death. So throughout the day, then we have an opportunity to tune into that nature of space through experience that 9 blendings in our meditation practice. So 9 dissolutions, sorry, when we are tuning into that Dharmakaya point of view, through that 9 dissolutions, going from that coarse reality into more subtle until we blend into the nature of the clear light mind. And that's the moment when we blend with the Dharmakaya. Then from that Dharmakaya, we appear in our Sambhogakaya form of that Yidam. And this is our opportunity to blend with the Sambhogakaya in our practice. We can also do that throughout the day, irrelevant of our formal practice. And we can do the same with blending with Dharmakaya throughout the day. There are certain very simple practices in which we can dissolve into our seed syllable or hung, and then tune into the Dharmakaya in our everyday life. Can be like very short practice throughout the day. So that's in the waking state. And then after the meditation or formal practice, we then fully embody our physical form as a Yidam, and that's our Nirmanakaya, our emanation, blending with our emanation potential of the Yidam or Buddha. Then, during the night, when we fall asleep, we can do practices of dissolving our awareness into the clear light, either through Tummo, then blending all our energies into that state of formless awareness. And from that, we are touching again the quality of Dharmakaya in our sleep. And then from that formless non-duality, we can appear in our, or emanate, or reveal ourselves in the form of Sambhogakaya, in the form of Idam, in our dreams. And that's our opportunity throughout the night. And then after this very adventurous night practice, we then appear in the night, in the morning again in our Nirmanakaya form, meaning we are waking up with that self-identity of Yidam. So that's our 3 blendings throughout the night time. And then in the death, in the moment of death, then we have again opportunity to blend in with Dharmakaya. If we did not rely on the POA practice, which would hopefully shoot our consciousness into the Pure Land immediately, we then go through the 8 dissolution process, and if finally, like ultimately, we don't go out of it anymore. And because of that, we have natural inclination to meet with the mother clear light, so that ultimate clear light if we were good practitioners. And then from that Dharmakaya, we are touching our truth body, blending big time. That's our greatest opportunity to really embody Dharmakaya if we were good practitioners. If we did not use that opportunity of meeting with a clear light mind, with that mother clear light in the moment of death, in order to achieve enlightenment, we can wake up in the bardo, and instead of panicking, again, if we were very good practitioners, we can recognize that now we can appear in the form of Idam, and that's the Sambhogakaya quality of our identification with that Yidam in that scenario. So instead of losing control, losing cool in the moment of death, we are taking this as an opportunity to emanate, to manifest as our Yidam. And from that position, we can much more likely to choose better rebirth. Then we can, just like in our sadhanas, we can then look around what's the best, as Lama Glen likes to say, womb with a view. What's the best rebirth from that vantage point? And then if we succeed, then we enter our next reincarnation in this Nirmanakaya form of the next reincarnation, our next self, which is the blending with our emanation body. So that was the 3 blendings during the death. So that in a nutshell, 9 blendings. But there is, of course, many different variety to understanding it, an application in which the commentary of Nulchudama Bhadra will illuminate. And Lama Glen also shared some nice details that we also go through.
Yeah, so plan for today as a general, so this was a overview of the 9 blendings, but now to take it a step deeper to clarify what Lama Glen was teaching on Saturday, we'll first look at Nilchodama Bhadra's presentation on the 9 blendings, and then we'll discuss a little bit the specifics that Lama Glen has been talking about on Saturday. But before we'll do that, how about refuge and bodhicitta? So for that, we'll have all the lineage gurus above the crown of our head. And together with all sentient beings of the 6 realms, we take refuge. We take refuge in the 3 roots and the 3 jewels until our full enlightenment is achieved. Through the power of the practice of the 6 paramitas, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. We take refuge in the 3 roots and the 3 jewels until our full enlightenment is achieved. Through the power of the practice of the 6 paramitas, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. We take refuge in the 3 roots and the 3 jewels until our full enlightenment is achieved. Through the power of the practice of the 6 paramitas, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes, be free from suffering and its causes, never be separated from great happiness that is free from suffering, and abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Then all the lineage gurus dissolve one into another until the Vajradhara above the crown of our head dissolves through our crown aperture, down through the head, past the throat, into our heart. And then in our heart, Vajradhara dissolves into light, pervading our whole being. And also the totality of space is pervaded by Vajradhara's light. And we meditate on emptiness. Om Subhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Subhava Shuddha Ham. This formless state of non-dual consciousness is our Dharmakaya, our truth body. And the energy coming out from it will make now a blue bar or a blue stroke of light. And this light, this blue light, is very blissful in nature, pure subtle energy. And that's our Sambhogakaya, or enjoyment body. And then ourselves, as the blue light, we transform into Guhya Samaja, complete with 3 faces and 6 arms, in union with consort, and with all the various ornaments and implements. And that's our emanation body, our Nirmanakaya. And as Nirmanakaya, we'll look a little bit deeper at the 9 blendings. What we've done now was a simplified version of the 3 blendings during daytime in the generation stage. So in the generation stage, of course, we have the 3 blendings in there. In fact, the generation stage sadhana, or actually all these long sadhanas of highest yoga tantra, have the 3 blendings at the time of death in a more reflective, meditative process. So in all the long sadhanas of highest yoga tantra, we do go into the Dharmakaya at the time of death. So we kind of simulate or meditate that we go through the 8 dissolutions, arriving at clear light, Dharmakaya. Then we come out of that as pure energy. And that, of course, varies depending on the Tantra. So in long Guhya Samaja, it'll be actually we appear as Vashvasattva. In Vashvayogini as a red Vam syllable. In Chakrasamvara, a nada, white with a tinge of red. But it doesn't matter actually. It's all symbolic, and it's symbolic for the energy that manifests from clear light, or Dharmakaya. And then, of course, in the sadhana, we'll eventually appear as the deity in a full mandala. And that is symbolic for our world and our planet Earth. That's the mandala of the Buddha, and we are the deity. And all the other beings are the deities of the mandala. So actually it doesn't matter if we have a sadhana with a solitary deity, or a sadhana with 32 deities like Guhya Samaja, or 62 deities like Gantapa's body mandala of Hiruka, or Luipa's chakra samvara. It doesn't matter how many deities there are in the mandala, they are always representing the sentient beings of planet Earth, or of our physical universe, in fact. And so we have that already all in the generation stage. But then, of course, we have completion stage. And that's where it becomes a little bit more specific to actually invoke the direct experiences of the various blendings.
And also it's good to remind that even during the daytime waking time of manifesting or blending with Sambhogakaya, we are of course taking into consideration the two levels of tantric practice, the generation and completion stage, because there is a different level of attaining the Sambhogakaya, our enjoyment body, in our generation stage, when we really identify with the deity as a centerpiece of the mandala and seeing the world as a mandala. But then in the completion stage, we really embody that in our energy system, in our subtle Vajra body too. So these two levels belong, of course, to the Sambhogakaya blending section.
Now, to clarify Lama Glen's teaching, we'll look at Nulchadhammapatra's 6 Years of Naropa commentary, titled, or the book is titled, Blazing in a Fire of Bliss and Emptiness. And within that book, we have Nulchadhammapatra's 6 Years of Naropa commentary, translated by David Gonzalez. Those of you who are attending the 6 Yogas commentary series, you guys are so lucky. You get, again, the presentation on the 9 blendings based on Nulchadhammapatra. And why you are so lucky? Because it never gets boring. It is just a fantastic subject. And as said before, it's very clearly talked about in the teachings on the 9 blendings that even though we might not be able to practice all of it very well, just to understand the process of the 9 blendings is a profound karmic seed in our mind stream that will ripen in our future enlightenment. So simply now getting a good understanding of what the 9 blendings are has tremendously good karma and will really help us to attain enlightenment for the benefit of sentient beings. And that's why we'll dive now a little bit deeper into it. Also, the fact that this is on a 6 Years of Naropa commentary doesn't do any harm, despite that we are in the Guhya Samaja teachings, because the teachings on the 9 blendings are universal across highest Yoga Tantra. There can be slight nuances and differences presented in the different transmissions on the 9 blendings, but ultimately the thread of the teaching is always the same. So what we read here in Nulchadhammapatra's 6 Yogas commentary is 100% applicable in the Guhya Samaja Tantra. Lama Glen, of course, gave his own and somewhat unique way teaching on the 9 blendings last Saturday. It's not even unique to Guhya Samaja. It was really a profound way that Lama Glen taught us on Saturday, and we'll review his specifics on it. If you study different teachings on the 9 blendings, you will just find different commentaries, different masters discuss it always in slightly different ways. So Lama Glen's specifics we'll also discuss later on. So just that you know, the golden thread of the teaching is universally the same across highest Yoga Tantras. You just will come across minor differences here and there. But yeah.
And in here especially about 9 blendings.
Yeah, so that, yeah. And it's in the physical copy of the book on page 67. The 9 mixings. Oh, 9 mixings. Why not 9 blendings? No, it's just a different choice of words. Yeah, 9 mixings, 9 blendings, it's the same teaching. Yeah, it's just a different word. There are 3 mixings during waking, 3 mixings during sleep, and 3 mixings during death, which together are referred to as the instructions of the 9 mixings and are widely renowned as profound instructions. And of course, just a quick reminder, the 3 mixings during death will actually review every day in our generation stage sadhana practice. Now, first, mixing the truth body during waking. Furthermore, if the winds enter your central channel, and you then bring your practice of the inner fire and vase breathing up to your heart while relying upon the outer and inner methods. The outer method is relying upon a karma mudra, and the inner method is the yoga of the channels, winds, and the drops. Then your winds will enter, abide in, and dissolve into the heart channel wheel, and the four joys will emerge as the nature of the four empties. This means that as you experience the four joys, you will simultaneously experience the four empties. For example, as the bodhicitta descends from your crown to your throat, you will experience joy and the mind of white appearance. When it reaches your heart, you will experience the mind of red increase and supreme joy. When it reaches your navel, you will experience the mind of black near attainment and extraordinary joy. And when it reaches the lower tip of your central channel, you will experience the mind of clear light and simultaneously born joy. During the simultaneously born joy of the clear light, you should place your mind in single-pointed meditative equipoise as the actual truth body mind of the conqueror. Truth body mind of the conqueror means, the Buddha's clear light, in other words. Now, here the method is actually fairly similar to what Lama Glenn was talking about. Lama Glenn, of course, mentioned the 6 chakras, which we'll look on later a little bit. Then, of course, Karma Mudra, inducing the 4 blisses in order to arrive at clear light.
Yes, so also we know that already from Tantra that we use the bliss as the mean to really enter the deepest states of our mind, because the bliss also as a factor in human experience is the closest to non-conceptual state. The moment we achieve orgasm, nobody thinks about definitions anymore. The reality somehow blends into the experience of now. That's why Tantra used the skillful means in order to help us to enter this most fine state of our mind, the clear light mind, and also in here expressed in the form of the 4 blisses, and we can achieve it, of course, through the Jnana Mudra practice or the Karma Mudra practice.
What is Jnana Mudra?
Jnana Mudra, meaning visualized partner, like we often do, and also Guya Samaja is as well the Yab Yum form, in which the state of union is already given through visualization of the Yidam, meaning we are visualize ourselves as a Yidam in a sexual union with a counterpart, which is our Jnana Mudra, which is our wisdom partner. So that creates the simulation of bliss in our system, which is comparable to Karma Mudra, of course. Karma Mudra on our physical body, having a physical partner, can be more visceral experience. But if we are very good in tuning into our samadhi power, we can also induce that sense of sensation within our subtle body, directing the drops in the similar way through our visualization of the partner, just as if we would be in that physical sexual union with them. So through that, experiencing the moving of the drops, following the dissolution of the 4 empties, and then entering the clear light mind, because there is nothing finer after the last dissolution, after this black near attainment, than the clear light.
Now, of course, in other teachings on the 9 blendings, actually the methods are often widened, meaning you don't have to use the 4 blisses. You could just use various forms that induce the 8 dissolutions, meaning you could use various forms of practice that induce the 8 dissolutions. So whether that's basic Tumo, clear light yoga, etc. Of course, it can be Vajra recitation, which there are many techniques for in the Guhya Samaja Tantra. Anything that leads you through the 8 dissolutions, brings you into clear light, is a viable method for mixing the truth body during the waking state. But yeah, here Nirtro Dharmabhadra discussed a very similar process as Lama Glenn did on Saturday, primarily relying upon Karma Mudra, utilizing the 4 blisses in order to arrive there. Furthermore, here Nirtro Dharmabhadra also talks about the 4 blisses being tied to the 4 empties. That is not always the case, so it doesn't have to be that way. If you're familiar with the 4 empties, they can of course be induced simply by clear light yoga or tumo as well, or also they can happen at different stages when you meditate on the 4 blisses. They don't necessarily have to correspond with first bliss with white appearance, second bliss with red increase, etc. Doesn't have to be that way, can be that way.
So just to remind for anybody that doesn't recall what's 4 empties. 4 empties are this second section of 8-step dissolution that refer to our most subtle energy, because the first 4 dissolutions concern our physical elements, or the elements our coarse body consists of, and then we enter into the most fine level of energy, which is often visualized through the nada, which is the first curve, then the second curve, and the last curve, or dissolution through the sun and moon and the nada, representing dissolving of our male drops, white bindus, then the red drops, female bindus, collapsing it into the heart, into that most subtle level of still grasping to the sense of I, through that near-death attainment, near-black attainment. And then the 4th one is entering the clear light. So in that presentation is also somehow superimposed into the 4 blisses, in which we are descending with each bliss. We're going to the finer and finer state of our mind. So first the white near attainment, then the red, then the black, and then we enter into the clear light with the final descent.
And so once we're in clear light, we'll continue with mixing the enjoyment body during waking. When you arise from that clear light, you accomplish the 3 minds of black near attainment, red increase, and white appearance, together with their 4 signs in reverse order. You arise as Vajra Yogini with a white-colored body tinged red separately from your old aggregates. Train in establishing divine pride that that body is the actual resultant enjoyment body. First of all, in here, because Nirtro Dharmabhadra wrote this teaching on the 9 blendings based on Vajra Yogini practice, in the Guhya Samaja Tantra, the technique remains the same, but we'll utilize, of course, white 2-armed Vajradhara. So from the clear light, you arise as a white Vajradhara.
And it's also good to know in here, while appearing in the Nirmanakaya form, so in our emanation body, that applies both in our practice. So when we reappear from the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya to the Nirmanakaya form again, out of the Dharmakaya, then there is this 8 dissolution happens in reverse order. So then we go from this most subtle into more coarse. So that applies in our meditation practice, but also during the night time. When
nighttime maybe we'll keep for later. Let's stay with the daytime if it's okay.
When after the night we wake up again and then we appear in our usual form, it's good to remember that also eight-step dissolution in reverse order also applies. So that's the placeholder for you to keep that information not only for this instance.
Yeah, so just to review what Nilsha Dharmabhadra says here. So from the clear light, the dissolutions that we experienced going into clear light will happen in reverse order as we come out of it. So first, the black near attainment. This is where our very subtle sense of dualism starts kicking back in. Because in the clear light, there is no more sense of me here and the outside world there. And then there's the act of perceiving in between. All of that is gone in clear light. Clear light is a state of unity, of non-dual consciousness. But so when we come out of that, the black near attainment, subtle sense of dualism, then the red increase. That's when our attachments to the likable things kick in. Then the white appearance. That's when our aversions for the unlikable things are there. And so once we have those subtle energies, then from that energy we manifest as a white Vajradhara. And here it says separately from your old aggregates. And that means you arise within space. Once you're in clear light, your mind doesn't have limitations. So your mind is not, we can actually ask ourselves, where is our mind? Is it in the brain? Is it in the eyes? Is it in the heart, in the body? Where's my mind if I think about Africa, Cape Town, Nepal? Wherever I think of, where's my mind? And so when we are in clear light, our mind is within the nature of space. And so we simply arise in space as a white Vajradhara. And in fact, if we'll do that well, it will happen separately from the physical body. So in Western terms, or in Western esoteric terms, it is a form of astral travel. Just that we don't travel to a specific location, it's simply we manifest the astral body in space. And it is white in color because the basis of our energy, the basis of that body, of that energy body or illusory body, as it's called in the 6 yogas, that is the basis for it is the life-sustaining wind, which is white in color. And so so from clear light, we arise in space, outside of the physical body, as a white Vajradhara. And it basically says, train in establishing divine pride, that body is the actual resultant enjoyment body. Of course, there are other techniques to meditate on that stage, but we've discussed it extensively in the 6 yogas. For now, that's all to mention. From clear light, energy will manifest, here a white Vajradhara. Then third, mixing the emanation body during waking. When you once again arise from that meditative stabilization, you unobstructedly enter into the heart of your old aggregates and assume the cause emanation body. So what it says is that after you meditated on being white Vajradhara, so you are in this pure body of white energy, then eventually you re-enter your physical body through the crown aperture and go back into the heart. And then you fully embody the physical body in this world with all the qualities that you've learned from Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya. Meaning you have a deeper understanding of the non-duality of phenomena. You also know that this non-dual clear light has pure energy potential, and the experience of this unconditional love and bliss that you have in Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya, you can then take in your physical body, in your emanation body, and embody in your own life and the life of others. Also to just clarify it in more simple terms, so the way also Lama Glenn often teaches it is that we don't, simply that you go into clear light, from that you have energy, and that energy you have in your physical body. So often Lama Glenn doesn't specify anything like you separate the subtle body, or that your subtle body appears outside of the physical. But in fact, of course, in Hasteva Tantra, as we see here, it is a often mentioned process of cultivating the Sambhogakaya body, or actually our future Sambhogakaya body, because at that stage of practice, it actually is only, we could say, an example of what the Sambhogakaya will be like, meaning it will be an energy body with no limitations. Then mixing the truth body during sleep. When such a yogi or yogini is about to go to sleep, he emanates light rays from the hung at his heart, which collect all worlds and their beings into himself. He is also absorbed from below and above up to the nada of the hung. Once you imagine that that nada is also absorbed into the clear light, you fall asleep, whereby the winds enter, abiden, and dissolve into your central channel, together with the corresponding signs. During the simultaneously born clear light, the bodhicitta is collected at the heart. And with that bliss, you combine bliss and emptiness and place your mind in single-pointed equipoise.
So in here we can again see the comparative method that we would use in our daytime through Jnana Mudra or Karma Mudra. So we are again invited to investigate our subtle body through driving that subtle bliss throughout and then collecting it back in the heart. Again, to expand and explore that non-duality awareness, this luminous mind of the clear light that after building up throughout our Vajra body, we then let it reside and expand, and that's our ticket to Dharmakaya in a sleep.
Of course, Lama Glenn, so here the technique is basically from the hung in your heart, light rays go out, everything dissolves into you into the hung, that into clear light. Very common in 6 years of Naropa and of course Guhya Samaja Tantra. Lama Glenn gave us a little bit more than that. So he instructed to still induce to do your tumo with the 4 blisses. And then you bring after the 4 blisses, you bring both drops into the heart. So the white drop into the heart, the red drop into the heart. And yeah, then you stay in the indestructible drop, the red and white in union at the heart for some time until you go onto the verge of sleep or clear light. And then as you stay in clear light, you'll bring it up to the throat. So that then you will have more energy at the throat later on when your dreams will set in. So the only reason you would bring it up to the throat is to enhance your dream state. Often, yeah, because you could still get, of course, good dream yoga if you stay at the heart, but it is more of an advanced technique. It's much easier for most practitioners that after we stayed at the heart for some time, we'll bring it up to the throat. One maybe thing also to just worth mentioning here, to mix the truth body during sleep well, it is a highly advanced practice. So not to bullshit ourselves, sorry for the language, but it is more than just your ordinary waking state, non-dual consciousness. It is really a very, very subtle state of mind, and it would be literally lucid sleep. So your coarse body is then fully asleep, but you are fully conscious in the clear light at your heart. That is proper truth body during sleep. And it really goes quite a few levels deeper than non-dual consciousness during the waking state. That's just important to say.
Yeah.
So we can meditate on that as a practice, but to set expectations, among all the practitioners who are doing this, the ones who mastered this are extremely few. Just to be fair about it, so not to be discouraged if success will take time.
Yeah, and yesterday I was going through Chogyam Trungpa commentary on Tumo, and then on the dream yoga, and he was actually saying a very interesting comparison that, of course, we all know that our waking state is an illusion, is dreamlike. That's why we train with our illusory body also during the daytime. But he said that in the context of Dharmakaya during the sleep, he said that if we would be devoid of our ignorance, we would be able to stay conscious throughout that Dharmakaya blending when falling asleep, and stay conscious in this clear light state throughout our sleep. Either dreaming or not dreaming, but being totally fully conscious of being in that non-dual state of clear light, childlike, but clear light. But instead, we are really buying into that illusion of everyday life, which is actual dream. So he said, the actual dream is our waking state. And when we fall asleep and touch on Dharmakaya, that's the real thing. So he said, that's why we are not able to sustain our awareness in that moment of falling asleep and throughout night, because we are actually leaving our illusion. And we are tied more into that illusion state of the waking hour that is actual dream. And I think that puts in context exactly what Jonas said. That's why it's so difficult to maintain that awareness during that state of blending with Dharmakaya while falling asleep. And often I'm training it every night before falling asleep, while already lying down, hopefully doing some Tumo before. Sometimes don't have time, just a few hours before. But then collecting that awareness back around the heart and waiting until this verge of sleep, and still continuously maintaining that awareness is extremely difficult. And then to have it like just in the right moment to drop it back into the throat, and to keep awareness with this dream, with the dream, to be lucid in dreams, it is a challenge. Sometimes I manage, sometimes I don't. But that's why I wanted to share that part of the commentary, because it shows why it's so difficult. The more we are bought into that illusion of the daytime reality, the more we'll struggle with maintaining awareness during meeting with the clear light mind.
Now, of course, there are many other techniques to do this practice, so that with putting it up to the throat is what Lama Glenn taught. Usually, most teachings on the 9 blendings in highest yoga tantra, they will stay at the heart as you go into the clear light of sleep. And in fact, some teachers say you don't even need any technique. If you know already the clear light of mind, you don't need to meditate on anything as you go to sleep. You'll just stay conscious, because the 8 dissolutions will happen to us every night on their own. There's nothing to meditate on. So if we simply stay conscious in what is going on, we'll naturally arrive at clear light. Utilizing a syllable in the heart or bringing drops into the heart is a technique to help us to get there. But if you already are familiar with the process, just stay conscious as you fall asleep, you'll naturally arrive at clear light and can stay there. It's just important to know, because, yeah, I mean, it's easy to get hooked up on all the techniques and, oh, this tantra uses that technique and this one this. Yeah, well, if you're a really good practitioner, you don't need any technique. You just follow what is happening naturally. So I found it quite inspiring to hear that it is a method taught as well. Actually, Lotro Tolku Rinpoche talked about it, to do it that way. But of course, it's good to have some techniques to help us on the way there. Then mixing the enjoyment body during sleep. Next, when the dream state is about to commence, contemplate. I must arise in the complete enjoyment body, and with that intention, meditate on the dream body as the body of Vajrayogini. Here, of course, in Guhya Samaja, we'll use white Vajradhara. Or actually, in the dream, you can use the colored one as well. It doesn't have to be white in the dream state. But that's basically it. The moment dreams set in, after when you get out of clear light in the night, you get lucid in your dreams, which of course requires proper dream yoga practice in order to get lucid. But once we are lucid, we'll transform our own dream body, which usually will resemble this physical body of the waking state. We'll simply then transform that into the body of the deity. So in Guhya Samaja, it's a two-armed Vajradhara, and we'll rest in that. And we'll blend that energy body of Vajradhara later on again with the clear light of sleep when the dream state weakens. Then mixing the emanation body during sleep. When you are about to awaken from sleep, you enter the heart of your old aggregates without obstruction, whereby the winds begin flowing through your nostrils, objective appearances arise. Whatever appears is empty. That emptiness is bliss, and that manifestation of bliss is regarded as the deity body. You should sequentially train in these three objects of knowledge. So what he says here is, and it again refers a bit to our energy body existing separately from the physical body. He says when you awake when you are in the process of waking up, you re-enter the old aggregates, referring to your physical body. And it's only called old aggregates because you exist outside of your physical body when you are the deity in the dream state. In fact, most humans of us, if we have dreams, our energy bodies are not present in the physical body. We are somewhere in the astral dimensions. And so when we wake up in the morning, we re-enter the old aggregates, the physical body we possessed before already. And then, of course, the winds start flowing again, body arises, and we'll get up as the deity in the morning. And we'll get up, of course, with the view of the world of being the mandala. We are a deity, all sentient beings are deities. And that's then how we get up in the morning.
And of course, if we are able to sustain the awareness throughout the dreams, like advanced masters, we can maintain that awareness from the moment of falling asleep, dream appearing, dissolving, break, another dream appearing, dissolving, and then we're going to the moment of waking up. They are able to also consciously experience that re-immersion into that physical form by seeing the signs of dissolution in reverse sequence order. Thank you. So they are able to really notice those sequences that Jonas had presented before, being very conscious. Okay, now I feel like I'm going back into that I self. My attachments appear, my aversions appear, and then that forms of visual representation, the candlelight, sparks, then again the flames, and then again the water, everything comes and mirage, everything goes back into that sequence, which actually for the advanced meditators, the sequence applies. For us trainers, trainees, sometimes that sequence might go some few times back and forth because we don't have stability in that consciousness of the continuity of the mind appearing and dissolving. That's why it can be a bit wobbly. But for the advanced meditator, it would be like really a movie from the beginning to the end, going very consciously, and obviously re-emerging into the Nirmanakaya form of the body existence, knowing that's the dream, with that peace and patience of, yeah, that's again, I'm going from the activity of the yidam in the night to the day when I can benefit beings. That's a totally different life when we think we can take advantage of the practice to such extent. Of course, for now it is an aspiration, but we can see the reason for doing it. It's not only technique, it's another level of bringing that mindfulness and that motivation of bodhisattva on that highest yoga tantra level into everyday moment.
And then Nilshodamabhadra concludes here with saying, thus, if you are able to arise in the special illusory body of dreams at the conclusion of apprehending the clear light of sleep, through familiarizing yourself with that, your capacity to practice during waking will be empowered. Through that, you will also achieve great power in your yoga during sleep. In this life, such a yogi has attained a most excellent state, and when he practices at death, through the force of his familiarity with the clear light of sleep and the illusory body of dreams, and their similarity with apprehending the clear light of death and the illusory body of the intermediate state, no other impure appearances will arise. These are two of the most amazing and highly praised, incontrovertible oral instructions. So what he basically says, when we master those three blendings of the daytime and the three blendings of the nighttime, then we are basically prepared for the three blendings at the time of death. So just as we go through the 8 dissolutions on our meditation cushion, whether it is with Karma Mudra and the 4 blisses, or it is clear light yoga, or basic Tumo. So with that during the daytime and then going consciously into the clear light of sleep, we prepare for the blending of the clear light at the time of death. Then on the meditation cushion, through getting familiar with the energy arising from clear light, and ideally arising as a deity separately from the physical body, and then in the dream state to arise as the deity in the dream. With those two practices of day and night, we prepare for arising as a deity in the bardo. And then with the practice of the daytime, where we then again embody the physical body, and the practice of the nighttime, where we consciously arise from the dissolutions in the morning as a deity and get about the waking state life. With those two practices of day and night, we'll prepare for blending with the emanation body at the time of death, of consciously choosing a rebirth and being reborn to benefit sentient beings. So that concludes the summary on the 9 blendings. Now let's look a little bit at what Lama Glenn also discussed. I mean, we already referred a little bit to the instructions he gave. So on one hand, for example, with the blending of the daytime, he did talk about also when you practice Karma Mudra to draw in the energy of the consort. And honestly, the exact process is way too much to discuss now as a clarification, but it is of course part of the 6 yogas of Naropa. It is part in the Guhya Samaja completion stage, Chakra Samvara completion stage. So in all of those teachings, it does come up. If you do want to read it anytime soon, in my own book on the 6 yogas, the process is described very clearly. So you could read it up there.
But it also, if you ever practiced Chakra Samvara and There is actually a section even already in the generation stage practice in sadhana when it is being described as the energies bouncing back and forth on each of the chakra of the yap and yum after a consecration of organs, in which we are experiencing the exchange between male and female, and that's throughout the process of karma mudra later on in the completion stage practice can be applied as well. So first in generation stage as visualization, as an understanding of that process, and then experienced in the completion stage in karma mudra. And that's basically, it relates to that mutual respect and exchange of the quality of the opposite principle into the process in order to set into the union of these two in each chakra.
But just to be clear, this generation stage practice of chakra samvara is not the one used in the completion stage. It's just, it has a similarity. So in the completion stage, it's really through the tip of your sex organ, you draw in the winds of your partner into your central channel. And in fact, it is taught that unless we have attained enlightenment in a previous lifetime, we do need to do this practice in this life to get enlightened during this lifetime, because otherwise it's said we can't crack open the indestructible drop at the heart. In order to crack it, we need the energy of the opposite sex. And so there is this specific meditation, how you learn to pull in the winds of your partner into your central channel. For women, it's a little bit easier because women are used to pull in the energy of the sex organ into their heart, while for us men, we never, unless we practice Tantra, we never learn that. Because with our sex organ as men, we'll only give energy out. Yeah, so we are only used for downward flowing energy. And so we have to learn to reverse it. Women actually naturally know how to do it. So anyway, all of that, it goes a little bit beyond the scope of what we can clarify today.
What is just worth mentioning is just like in here, the comparison between the generation stage when that exchange is being created like as a foreplay, almost energetical foreplay. And that also is a great teaching for how the real exchange happens. Just like with a karma mudra partner, you cannot just achieve this exchange without the certain connection. So like in here, we are training with our generation stage, even between yidams. First, there is a connection, crown to crown, throat to throat, heart to heart. So this is how it is in the chakra samvara generation stage practice. It's almost like exchanging to create certain connection between these two, between yab and yum. And then when it comes to actual energy exchange in the karma mudra or completion stage, that happens through the sex organ. So it's how a beautiful teaching. The foreplay, somebody said, somebody wise, the foreplay starts after the orgasm. So for the partners that are together for a long time, that's how it looks like when we are creating the trust and the environment of exchange just between the intercourse. So I think Yidam is also teaching us that.
And for the three blendings of night, of course, something a bit unique Lama Glenn was talking about is to also meditate again on the four blisses before we fall asleep. Then, of course, we are uniting the drops in the heart, staying there, and then eventually just before, we stay at the heart for some time, and then bring it to the throat for dream yoga. But usually, in fact, it's really most completion stage teachings will say, if you go into the clear light at the nighttime, you stay at the heart. The thing is also really, if you move the drop to the throat, you usually have to use your intellect to make a movement of energy. And that means if you make a movement of energy intellectually, you never really touch the clear light well. So, um, but it is a practice that is taught, yeah. So what Lama Glenn introduced here, it is taught, for example, in the Mahasiddha lineage of Chen Razik. So yeah, that's a method you can play around with and see how it works for you. Yeah, but just in general, usually most highest Deva Tantra teachings will say you stay at the heart, going into clear light. But then, of course, whenever the dreams set in, no matter if you are at the throat or heart, dreams can set in. It's just that if you stay at the heart, it might be more rare for dreams to occur because your energies are really locked into the heart chakra. But still, especially the more advanced we'll become as practitioners, we will be able to have still lucid dreams and then can arise as the deity in the dream. And from the dream as deity, when we meditate in that Mahamudra state of the dream, we'll again merge with the clear light as the dream state weakens. And of course, in the morning when we wake up as deity. Also, Lama Glenn did mention, in the dream state, you could also do your Tumo practice with the 6 chakras and the 4 blisses. So if you wanted to, you could do that as well. And of course, with the 3 blendings at the time of death, the same applies as discussed earlier. Our daytime and nighttime practices prepare us for what is happening at the time of death. Maybe just on a side note, for the Guya Samaja nerds among us. So most highest yoga tantras, or especially the female tantras, they teach that through the practices of clear light at day and night, we'll learn to consciously go into the clear light at the time of death, which of course will result in tukdam. However, in the male tantras originating with Guya Samaja, the king of the father tantras, because it has so much emphasis on illusory body, and in particular, if we go deeper into the 5 stages, which we will offer, I believe, in about 2 months' time or so, we'll do a series on the 5 stages of Guya Samaja specifically. There are, of course, the practices of how to meditate on the Sambhogakaya, or enjoyment body, which, before we'll actually have this Buddha body, is the illusory body, or in simple terms, astral body. And so the Guya Samaja Tantra really works a lot with cultivating that body of wind energy and how we separate it from the physical body and re-enter it again and again. And so the male tantrikas of highest yoga tantra, like Guya Samaja, what they often do when they die is that simply as they go into the clear light of death, they'll apply an illusory body technique to go into a pure land. So it's basically a pova. So just on the word, just into clear light. So they touch it, but they don't remain there. So they don't really do tukdam. They straight take their energy body, travel into the pure land, because they move their energy body anywhere unobstructedly throughout their lives when they have mastered the practice. Then at the time of death, they're just conscious. When the body doesn't work, they just consciously get out of it. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. There might be Father Tantra masters who don't do a tukdam, but actually would have the ability. Yeah? So that could happen as well. Now, I think that's it for now.
That was about the specifics that Lama Glenn add on the top of that. And yeah, the Nochu Dhammavajra is excellent in presenting in a simple form what we are focused on practicing. So we are happy that we are able to share it in that way, but maybe there are other questions.
I think it's much Anthony for the resources.
Yeah, so many, great.
4 empties, 8 dissolutions, etc. Jay, Gosha, were you reading from a book by Trungpa Rinpoche? If so, which one? So the problem with that is, no, it's a restricted text. There is a restricted text only for people who have transmission on the 6 yogas with Indikatri schools. So it can't be shared publicly, nor is it published anywhere publicly. Louise, after keeping the the Kajripas are much more restrictive about their 6 yogas lineage until today. It's super, super difficult to get anything of their teachings. I think the best you can get publicly is if you look at Mahamudra and related instructions. It's a thick book like that, translated by Peter Allen Roberts. And in that you find the commentary on the 6 yogas of Naropa by the sixth Shamarpa. And this is the root text that the Karma Kadri school uses until the present day for all of their 6 yogas of Naropa transmissions. So anything, whether it was Trungpa Rinpoche, Tenga Rinpoche, any of the great Karma Kadri lamas, past or present, will utilize this text for their 6 yogas of Naropa transmissions. But anything more related to this oral transmission, which a big part is oral, like all their true course, they don't teach it, they don't publish it anywhere. So I doubt you get it anywhere.
Sorry for that, but and maybe we can sometimes share the snippets of that, or at least orally, or whatever inspiring we fish out from there.
After keeping the conscious mind staying awake after the body fell asleep, what should a practitioner do at that time? It was just a blank silence, me alone experience. Don't know what to do. No, now I know I can arise as a deity, but then what else to do? Well, if you go into clear light, you just stay in clear light. It's non-conceptual, but the real clear light, it'll be very blissful and it'll be unconditional love. It's a state of fulfillment. It's a true state of liberation because the ordinary sense of self doesn't function anymore. And that means no matter what in life actually happens, whether good or bad, the moment we'll go into clear light, it's all gone. And it's a natural state of liberation or perfection. So you'll just be that. Yeah? You'll be what you've always been, which is clear light. And it's not like, on one hand, it's said it's called emptiness because it's really truly beyond any concept. Yes, we say it's unconditional love and it's blissful and spacious, but truly those words do not match the actual experience because the actual experience goes beyond words, beyond intellect. But you would stay there. And dreams eventually, because you do have a karma with your body now, so your body, the winds will start moving again. And so the moment dreams set in, that's when you arise as the deity. And once that dream winds subside, you again go into clear light.
If I achieve that state, which is not very obvious, of staying conscious and in that intermediate state or at the verge of appearing in a dream, and there is like, I have some time on my hands, which is extremely rare because it really requires quite a bit of awareness. Then in order to not lose that consciousness, I like to sit it on a cushion of awareness, which is for me bodhicitta. So then I try to connect from the heart with all the beings, and my general mission, motivation, whatever I do in the waking state, in the dream state, I want to benefit beings. And that connects me with that subtle reality of keeping me aware, but not in that ego state. So I use that as a cushion of maintaining consciousness in between, if that's useful.
Cliff, thoroughly amazing. That's great to hear. And indeed, an absolute superb set of teachings. It truly is.
Good to see you, Cliff.
Irina, thank you. And another Irina. Is it possible to travel to the Pure Lands in a dream? Can I set such an intention for a lucid dream? Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it does come up in the 6 yogas of Naropa. We did taught it just recently very extensively, all the various methods for that. So yeah, no, absolutely, it is possible and you can do that, yeah. Now, Anthony put in here Mahamudra and related instructions, core teachings of the Kagyu schools.
That's
yeah.
it.
Adini, are these techniques suitable for practitioners who met sun clear light, or they universal and work for both practitioners who met sun and mother clear light? Well, obviously they do work for both, but obviously when you met mother clear light, things will become much more easy for you. I mean, mother clear light is actually the first bodhisattva bhumi. Yeah, everything before that is we're getting hot to liberation. So we're warming up with our merit and wisdom. When we have mother clear light, we're on the first bodhisattva bhumi. Then in Mahayana Buddhism, and that really relates also to the teachings on the 5 paths that Lama Glenn gave 3-4 weeks ago. So then in Mahayana Buddhism, it can still take many lifetimes to progress through the bodhisattva bhumis. In highest yoga tantra, on the other hand, we can do it in 18 months under ideal conditions. It's actually possible from mother clear light from the first bodhisattva bhumi to the 10th to full Buddhahood within 18 months. But of course, a lot of conditions have to be met for that to be fulfilled. But no, you'll do it actually no matter whether you have sun or mother clear light. These are the techniques you'll do, and that'll be crucial for your enlightenment. Yeah, the thing though is for only having the child clear light, or example clear light as it's also called, you still have a lot of work to do. When you have mother clear light, things get way easier because you're on a level of practice where things will just flow to you. If you'll need a certain instruction, the dakinis will tell it to you. If you'll need a different transmission, you will instantly get it, either from space, from a Buddha, or you'll meet a human teacher, but things will just flow. And you'll know what to do at that point. So we don't have to worry about that. We only have to worry about the former that you mentioned here, child clear light, and obviously that's what we'll do. Yeah. Andre, Lamarck then also said something about the 8 chakras in the head and bringing the energy of the 4 blisses up. Could you please elaborate on this? Did he said 8 chakras in the head? I mean, there is a there's a practice with 1 chakra above the crown chakra with 8 channel wheels, but I've never heard that in Gelug. It's a Kadri transmission. And I can't remember that Lama Glenn said it.
In the head?
Did he say that? Anyway, in the Kadri schools, there's a method for that, but I don't think he said that. He said 6 chakras in the body, and that is that we can actually quickly look at. That is what you can use for your karma mudra, which is this one. But again, it's just too much to discuss it in detail. If you have attended our 6 yogas teachings or the other highest yoga tantra practices, you will be familiar with that. And even though it says here Vajrabhairava Tantra, that's the same you'll utilize in Guhya Samaja as well. In fact, it's also the same you utilize in Heruka Chakra Samvara's completion stage. So that's the one you can use for your Karma Mudra. For the details, please check the 6 Yogas of Naropa teachings because it'll be the method. The methods will be in there. Yeah, Barbara, Jonathan, Gosha, thank you for your expertise and generosity. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, dear Barbara. We'll appreciate your presence.
I'm so happy to see you, Barbara.
Thank you, Mark. Roman, are there any upcoming or planned courses regarding dream yoga, lucid dreaming, etc. from the perspective of Vajrayana practice? Again, I'm sorry to repeat myself. We've just done a 6 Yogas of Naropa series for 6 months, no, 5 months. And it was all part of that. And we really went through it in great detail. So if you want to deepen any of those type of teachings.
Maybe you could access through recordings. It was quite in depth.
Perfect. Anthony put here the image that we've just screen shared. So there you have the 6 chakras. Cliff, it is always a good time to make highest aspirations. Yeah, absolutely. That's why the teachings on the 9 blendings are said to be so profound, even though we might not be able to practice it very well. Just to know that all of that is actually possible really helps us to understand how mind works. And maybe on that note also to the 9 blendings, it is a complete cycle of practice for any stage of cyclic existence. Because either we are awake in this body or an animal body or in an energy body, but we will be always in some form of a waking state. Then we can be in an unconscious state when we are in a recovery mode, yeah, with a nighttime. And then we have the time of death, which for most beings also is an unconscious process. And we'll learn with the teachings on the 9 blendings to bring consciousness to all times of cyclic existence, whether we are awake, whether we are asleep, or whether we are dead.
With purpose, because it's a technique with a motivation. Like, think applying all this technique just like a manual, it's totally different than doing it as a bodhisattva. I'm doing it because I have a mission. I want to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all. That's why my purpose, my obligation, my duty is to stay awake throughout that illusion dream state of waking hours. And then in the dream to continuously stay conscious, because every moment is important to transform our klesha, especially our ignorance. And that's the purpose that drives that methods. And the methods are impeccable. And they are very in-depth, and they have even more meaning as we start to apply it, because it carries the flavor of each of us. But that needs to be propelled by that bodhicitta motivation.
Louise, I can't get enough of your immense knowledge and experience in Guya Samaja practice, Gosha and Jonas. Wishing that in a few months we can continue with the idea of your offering another course teachings on this practice. Thank you so much, dear Louise.
I saw, Louise, you changed your hair. You look fabulous.
Yeah, oh, very nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Looking forward to see it in person in autumn, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, certainly. We'll do something on the 5 stages of Guya Samaja, in depth, and yeah, it has one of the most superb practices of Vajra recitation that I haven't seen anywhere else, and it's really, really nice. But of course, yeah, it's really also important. It's nice to have a lot of teachings and do a lot of learn a lot of practices, but ultimately things will be always repetitive in highest yoga tantra. And that's why, for example, even understanding 8 dissolutions and yeah, 8 dissolutions and 9 blendings, for example, those 2 concepts and processes, if we learn them well, they'll apply for all highest yoga tantras. And the techniques how to accomplish that are manifold, and it's not so important which one we use. It's just important we'll actually get experience. And I find actually then the Kagyu lineages and teachings on highest yoga tantra are utterly profound, because they tend to be a bit less intellectual than in the Gelug school, but more intuitive, simple and direct. It's all about the result, not about the method. And the result, the Kagyu teach primarily Tumo and Maha Mudra. It's so simple. With that, you can actually do it all. With a bit of Tumo and Mahamudra view, Mahamudra practice, you get it all. You get clear light, you get energy attainment, everything. Everything else will be easy with those 2 practices.
Thank you, Louise. And I really want to bring it up again to have a great gratitude to all the teachers and teachers before that carried all the lineages, that allowed us to have access to it, and all the karma that brought us together to be able to engage in it again, and motivation enough to practice it again. We are really here for a reason, and there is no mistake in that, so no accident. Well, let's use the opportunity.
Irina, spasibo. Thank you. Then the other Irina. In our Guya Samaja empowerment is the initiation only for the generation stage. And the first part that Lama Glenn gave, I believe 2 months ago or so, that was only for the generation stage. The second part now, this coming Saturday, which will be also the final class for this Guya Samaja set of teachings, The second part, it'll be for your Tumo, illusory body, clear light, Karma Mudra. It'll be all in there. Yeah, basically, Lama Glenn gave the vast empowerment, which is the longest of a highest Yoga Tantra empowerment. And that's all for generation stage, the whole vast empowerment. And this coming Saturday, he'll be giving the secret, wisdom awareness, and word empowerments. And they'll be then all for the completion stage. Roman, are there any upcoming or planned courses? Oh, no, we had that here.
Oh, Anthony Sender, link to the section on the platform.
Oh yeah, but this is only if you are registered. You can log in. You won't be able to log in if you haven't signed up for it.
So you can write Jonas for the access.
Adini, I've read about advanced blending and Dzogchen. They stare at the sun and try to see the flow of 5 colors, elements, or they do dark retreats. Do other schools have similar techniques? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the Dzogchen, Mahamudra, and Madhyamika are all teachings on the nature of mind. Dzogchen is primarily a Nyingma, it comes from the Nyingma school, the old school, while all the new schools, the Sarma schools, use Mahamudra. So Sakya, Gelug, Kadri, they all have Mahamudra. Then Madhyamika, of course, originated with Nagarjuna, also points out the nature of mind, but it's more philosophical. Dzogchen and Mahamudra are quite direct. And what type of exact technique you use, that can differ. In fact, so anyway, other schools have similar, and also then with the 5 colors. I mean, I haven't heard that in Mahamudra, but it is part of 6 Hours of Naropa in the Kadri transmission, that you learn to actually recognize the different elements of the winds, because the wind and the external wind has the 5 elements in it, and you learn to meditate on the different elements of the pranic energies and their individual colors.
Yeah, just as we introduced at the beginning of the cycle, in the context of Guya Samaja being very good methods to build our mastery in the lungs, internal and external, and also the fact that we are able to master the external through mastering the internal, and vice versa. That's going to have a lot to do with the building the unity of understanding of the reality through the prism of Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Mahaati, Madhyamika, because it is ultimately about understanding that outside and inside is the same reality. But we need to somehow build this understanding through methods that are dual in order to understand non-duality of it. So yeah, the 5 colors are in here very much in tandem with these 5 colors of the winds that we have presented, that we carry inside, and obviously we find outside together with the colors and qualities of elements in and out. So yeah, it's a very complex topic, and yeah, there are very proprietary methods in Dzogchen, but they are much more fluid, I think, and depending on transmission and a teacher in Gelug.
Violetta, thanks. Sebastian, thank you. Dinara, thank you. Irina, Anthony, Giorgio, Mike, thank you. Dinara, great course, amazing. Will be a 5 stages course.
Dinara is now in Parping. She is having her retreat in the Manjushri Monastery, one of my most favorite places in the world. She's surrounded by dakinis. Dinara, thank you for your wonderful work in translation.
Thank you so much.
And also, of course, Martin and Prajna.
And so thank you, Matteo and Andre. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here, practicing. Yeah, maybe with all the techniques we went through, just to sum it up, please keep it simple, because ultimately it is all very simple. Of course, it's good to learn, to study, to practice, but also to enjoy what we are doing. I can just say for myself, of course, I obviously love to study it all and do it all, but in my own practice, it's almost embarrassing if I tell you how simple I meditate, but I like to keep things simple. If I have an hour for meditation, often what I would do is just very basic generation stage and super basic Tumu Mahamudra practice. I rarely do complex stuff if I have an hour of time. Complex stuff is to just, for me personally, to juice it up occasionally. But I experience the most depth of nature of mind, space, bliss, interdependence, the selfless nature of mind. The most blessings really come from simple practice for me. So that's why it is great to practice and to study the things, to understand what is their meaning. But I find for us Westerners, we have so busy and fast-paced lives and all the different things we anyway have to figure out, that I find simple practice is more beneficial. I mean, in Tibet, like no television, no smartphone. You're just sitting there alone on the mountain in a cave, 20 years, or in a monastery, your whole life. Then you want something juicy, yeah? I mean, you don't have television, yeah? You want to excite your mind, you want to bring out the colors of mind. But in our culture, we are so overexcited. No, we are so stimulated
for sure.
that to get bliss and depth and insight and realization, actually being simple is the benefit. Yeah, so of course, with Guya Samaja, 32 Deity Body Mandala, incredible teachings and knowledge, like Kshitigarbha in your eyes. If you'll master the emanation of winds in and out from your eyes, you can project your eye consciousness to other places on the earth, and you have the city of perceiving things far away. A super cool teachings, everything, yeah. But for benefit, yeah, super simple. That's at least how my own practice looks like. A totally beginner's practices.
Yeah. For that reason, I love Vajrayogini. Vajrayogini encompasses all the tantras in the most simple and intuitive and embodied form.
But you still do a long sadhana. If I'll do Vajrayogini, I'll self-generate, do mantras, and that's it for 1 hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But
I do the experiment the past year and a half doing long sadhana, Vajrayogini every day, just to check if that's any change in quality. And yeah, there is some benefits of that. But I always long for the mantra phase when I can actually be intuitive.
So you see, I'll also long for the mantra phase to just do the mantras, relax into space and bliss. That's why I'll do them after 5 or 10 minutes of self-generation. Yeah. Well, and of course, that's really the Kagyu schools, when they teach the Mahamudra, becomes so important because you learn to recognize non-dual consciousness. And that filter you'll need anyway in highest yoga tantra sooner or later to apply throughout any practice you do. So, and with that, it's clearly taught you can attain enlightenment, supposedly. So, yeah, and it's obviously a simple practice because Mahamudra is no practice. It's natural state of mind, yeah, natural state of consciousness.
Which is simple but not easy.
But yeah, thank you for your patience, your dedication, Barbara. That is so helpful, Jonas. Yeah, okay, thank you. At least one person benefited of my 5-minute tangent. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Much love to all of you. Sangwa Dipa Drokyane Drowa Chekyan Malipa De Sala Geparashu Changshub Zenchok Rinpoche Makye Pana Gekyechi Kye Panam Pame Payang Gongne Gongdu Pelvarashu. By this virtue may we quickly attain the enlightened state of the secret assembly, and then may we lead all sentient beings without exception to enlightenment's shores. May precious and supreme bodhicitta, if not yet aroused, be now aroused. And if we already have some of this peerless bodhicitta, may it grow from high to higher.
Martin, you look like you're in a cave. You're still in Nepal. Because it looks like it's the middle of the night.
Yeah, of course. It's like, what, 2 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, Martin, I'm talking to you. I think you missed something. Okay, I appreciate that you're translating also, just like Dinara, probably in the middle of the night. What is it, 4 hours ahead in Nepal? 5?
Probably 5 even.
Yeah.
It's for 3 a.m. now.
Yeah, Dinara is writing. So thank you, everyone, in whatever way you have participated in that program, through your dedication, practice, through your translation skills. 2:30 a.m. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bodhisattvas.
Yeah.
So see you on the empowerment.
Sleep deprivation is a technique for the clear light practice of sleep. It's a proper technique taught. If you deprive yourself of sleep, once you then fall asleep, especially during the day, you'll be much easier to access the clear light of sleep.
Yeah. Martin, Dinara, we believe in you.
Stay awake the whole night and then sleep throughout the day. Snippets, 15 minutes of naps will help to recognize the clear light. Okay, anyway, thank you so much, everyone, and see you soon.